Hi guys, so today we're going to get started on some quadratic word problems and kind of start, getting ourselves familiar with it and what things are asking and parts of our word problems and identifying and breaking it down. So here we're going to look at two different examples and we're going to work through them. Okay, so the first one here, we have cheerleaders at Lake High School and they launch t-shirts into the crowd every time the Lakers score a touchdown. The height of the t-shirt can be modeled by the function h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 48t plus 6, where h of t represents the height in feet of the t-shirts after t seconds. Okay, so let's break down what we know. Okay, so sometimes it might help to draw a picture or kind of like a graph of it. So basically what's happening is that every time they score a touchdown, they shoot out a t-shirt, okay? So the graph somewhat looks like this. It's obviously not accurate, right? So from here, there's a little cheerleader standing, okay? And then they shoot out a t-shirt, and then the t-shirt goes flying, right? Okay, right. So you can just imagine the t-shirt flying until someone catches it in the stands, okay? So this is the equation for it. H of t equals negative 16t squared plus 48t plus 6, blah, 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 okay? H of t here represents the height, so my y value here is the height. Okay, so this is actually the height, okay, how tall it is, so y represents the height. And then t here represents the seconds. Okay, so if we thought about it as a graph, this is what things represent, right? So at like 1 second, it will be this high, right? At 2 seconds, 3 seconds, so on and so forth, right? So this is at the beginning, and then this is at the end until it reaches someone catching the t-shirt. Okay. So here, it asks us at what height was the t-shirt launched. So here, it's asking us for the y value, right? So it wants to know what the height is. We want to know what the y value is when it is launched. So when it is launched, that means that t equals 0, right? It's right at the beginning when they shoot it out of like the cannon, right? So here we want to know what the y value is when t equals 0. So all we have to do is evaluate h of 0. So what is the height at 0 seconds? And so all I'm going to do is take 0 and plug it in. So 0 squared is 0. 0 times negative 16 is still 0. 48 times 0 is 0 plus 6. 0 plus 0 plus 6 equals 6. So what this means is that the t-shirt was launched at 6 seconds. Oh, sorry, at 6 feet, right? So the cheerleader's pretty tall or the cannon's pretty tall, okay? So that's when it leaves like the cannon, t-shirt cannon, okay, at 6 feet, okay? Another thing we realized, right, if it was launched at 6 feet, we also recognize that that was our c value, and we know c is our y-intercept, right? It is our initial value, and so that's how we see c and our initial value coming into play here. Okay? So the next part asks for what is the maximum height. So here it's asking me for the y value, okay? And then when it says here when was the maximum height, this is asking for the x value, okay? And since we're talking about maximum here, this is talking about the vertex. So the maximum height here is the y value of the vertex. And then the when is the x value. When was the maximum height? When max, so that's x value of the vertex. Right? So then we just need to find the vertex. Okay, so vertex, x value of vertex, we know is x equals negative b over 2a. Right, so let's find a, b, and c. So a here is negative 16. B is 48. And c is 6, so I'm going to plug what I know in. So negative b, so negative 48 over 2 times negative 16. Right? This gives me negative 48 over negative 32, which is 3/2, which we know is 1.5 or 1.5. Okay? Then, so this is the x value of the vertex. To find the y value of the vertex, all I need to do is plug it in. So I want the height at 1.5 seconds. Okay? So plugging it in, negative 16 times 1.5 squared plus 48 times 1.5 plus 6. Okay, so 1.5 square, remember, order of operations, so 1.5 square is 2.25. Okay, then after exponents is multiplication, so negative 16 times negative 16 times 2.25 is negative 36. 48 times 1.5 is 72, and then plus 6. This gives me 42. So what does this mean? So here I found the maximum height. That's the y value of my vertex. And then the when is the x value of the vertex, which I found here at 1.5. So what does this mean? It means the maximum height the t-shirt reached was 42 feet. Right, that's the y value of my vertex. Okay, and it was reached 1.5 seconds after it was launched. And there you go. I've answered my question. Okay, so let's do a next example. Okay. So here, Emilio is competing in the javelin throw. The height of the javelin can be modeled by the equation f of x equals negative 16x squared plus 64x plus 6, where f of x represents the height in feet of the javelin after x seconds. Right, so if you think about it as a picture, as a graph, right, Emilio would be standing here, then he'd throw the javelin, right? So here's my little javelin spear thing. Okay, yeah. Right. Here we know f of x here talks about height, how high it is, and then x here is the seconds. Okay. So I'm just going to highlight that again. Right, so f of x is the height in feet. X here is the seconds. Okay. So at what height was the javelin thrown? So this, it's asking me for the y value. Okay. When x equals 0, right? So at what height was it thrown? So at the beginning, what height did it start at? So I'm going to plug in 0 here. So f of 0 equals negative 16, 0 square, plus 64 times 0 plus 6. Okay, so this ends up being 0 plus 0 plus 6. Okay, which we know is our c value, it's our y-intercept, it's our initial value. So, you know, if you recognize that, right, you might not even have had to solve any of that because you knew c represents our y-intercept, our initial value. Okay, so the javelin was thrown at 6 feet. Okay. Okay. Then it asks here for the maximum height. So if it's maximum here, we see that we should think vertex. Okay, so the maximum indicates vertex. And then since height, which variable represents height, f of x represents height, so that means I want the y value of my vertex. Okay. In order to find the y value of my vertex, though, of course, I need to find the x value first. Okay. So x value of my vertex, again, is negative b over 2a. Okay, so here a is negative 16, b is 64, c is 6. So negative 64 over 2 times negative 16. Okay. This gives me negative 64 over negative 32, which is 2. Okay, so the maximum height was reached at 2 seconds. So let's find out what that height is. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my 2, that's the number of seconds, into my equation to find the height. Okay. 2 squared is 4, right? We do exponents first, order of operations. Negative 16 times 4 is negative 64. 64 times 2 is 128. Plus 6. Negative 64 plus 128 plus 6 is 70. So what this means, that did not reach the page. That means, okay, that my maximum height was reached at 2 seconds, and it was 70 feet. Okay, so the maximum height of the javelin is 70 feet. And if it asked when that happened, when is our x value, that happened 2 seconds after it was thrown. Okay, that's it for today. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, guys.